Um, well, that's it. I guess. I guess what could we really expect, right? Um, yeah, it took a miracle. It would have taken a miracle, and then the miracle never came. And the worst part is that the final breaths um, in this horrible, forgettable journey that shouldn't have been such were just as forgettable. And despite the win, there's no saving grace for Colombia. There's nothing really but to just move on and look ahead and um, and see what can be done. And see what can be done. This is your instant reaction show for Colombia 1, Venezuela 0. The result matters nothing because, again, the miracle that a lot of us, at least, were hoping for. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, in the back of my mind, I knew that it was very unlikely. But hey, hope is the last thing you lose, right? Like the saying goes in Spanish: "Esperanza es lo último que se pierde." So yeah, even from until the final whistle, there's just something inside you that is hanging on for something, and then the hammer drops, and then that's it, and then you lose everything. Colombia are out of the World Cup. Colombia are going to finish in sixth place, right behind Peru. 1 point behind Peru exactly. And I think a lot of you have already seen, a lot of things happening on social media, a lot of those photos floating around. We'll talk about a lot of that. But first, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being here because I know it's not easy, but I want this to be a place just like it was in the loss to Peru back in January, a place for us to vent and for you to tell me how you feel, and for you, again, whether you agree or not, whatever you're feeling, I want you to use this as your outlet. So comment away whatever you need to say. Let me know, and I'll share your thoughts here on the show, because again, this is, as much as it is analytical, this is also therapeutic. I'm not gonna lie. So a little bit of the beauty of having the show and this outlet is that it is therapy, a little bit. So thank you for joining me. My name is Juan Pimiento. You can follow me at Pimiento Football. You can also follow the show on Facebook. If you're watching right now on Facebook, thank you very much. On YouTube as well, thank you so much to those who have subscribed, those who have commented on every show since we started this particular era of the Colombia Soccer Pod, the live stream era, if you will, which actually started with this last few months of this horrible journey that has been the World Cup qualification. So thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for riding with us. Unfortunately, we couldn't arrive, at a good place, the place that we all wanted to be, even the place that we didn't think we were gonna be. And yeah, that's the reality. So there you go. Shout out to Aracers celebrating Peru going to the repechaje. Congratulations to Peru. Well deserved. And if you think about it, the turning point for them was beating us in Barranquilla. So kudos to them, because they did what they had to do in the last stretch of qualifiers, and they're going in. So there you go. You can follow us on social media on Twitter at Concu Soccer Pod, on Instagram, Colombia Soccer Pod, on Facebook, the Colombia Soccer Pod. Email me as well, colombianocolumbia@gmail.com. If you watch this show a little bit later, if you watch this, or if you listen to this and you want to get something off your chest, email is also the way to do it. So go ahead and sink in. Go ahead and email me as well, and I'll answer everything for sure. So send them my way. Um, yeah, there's nothing really to analyze as far as the game. It really doesn't matter, and it stopped mattering as soon as Peru scored the second goal. That's when everything just didn't matter anyway. It didn't matter that James scored finally after so long, and it's just kind of a poetic or tragic poetry, if you will, that James scores for the first time from the spot after two different referee interjections, if you will. The VAR review that ended with the penalty call, then James gets his penalty kick blocked. Turns out that Fariñez had jump start. He had a false start on the penalty kick, which he did. It's pretty clear. Both feet were off the line, and he finally scored. And again, it didn't matter. It was so irrelevant after that, and it was just watching your hopes and watching this moribund Colombia team die slowly and painfully in a game that was slow and painful, because it's not like Colombia played well. It's not like Colombia even came to the performance that they had against Bolivia, which was good, but it wasn't anything, overwhelming. They end up with the win, but again, nothing matters. So, I'm not going to talk about the game because why the hell matters? I wanna vent a little bit, just as far as my feelings, because I said it back. I think it was after the loss to Peru. It's been a while. It's been 13 years. 2009, when that horrible game as well in Medellin against Chile that buried Colombia's chances to go to the World Cup in South Africa in 2010. That was the last time Colombia failed to make it to a World Cup, and it was horrible. As all of us have been spoiled during the Peckerman days, going to two World Cups, um, not suffering too much. I mean, 2018 was a little nervy, but Colombia made it in Peru. Ironically enough, we made it through directly to the World Cup. 2014 was just brilliant. So that was just a party all around. Qualifying against Chile a day early for what ended up being a brilliant World Cup itself. Um, yeah, I guess we just didn't know how nice we had it back then. And it's just so fitting. And I talked about how much I fear that Peckerman was going to be the Grim Reaper to bury Colombia. He didn't quite bury Colombia because again we won, but it was so eerie, like such Shakespearean tragedy, that before the game you saw every Colombia player lining up to say hello to every member of the Venezuela coaching staff, especially Peckerman, of course. And seeing all those players, man, it just brought back such memories of those times, the best times, really. Again, that run on the road to 2014, that World Cup in 2014, the best moments on the road to Russia, even Russia itself. I was overcome with memories of how good we had it back then. So it was just again such a dramatic tragedy to see all the players, kind of connect with the past, with the better past that Colombia had just a few years ago, and that honestly didn't have any reason for it to end. It had no reason to end, really. It ended up being that the cancer that we have in Colombian soccer, which is our own management, federation management, ended up being the ones who forced the best coach Colombia has ever had on the national team out the door. Bitter, throwing shots at people left and right. It was terrible. So it didn't have to be like this from the start. Even through the Queiroz days when Colombia had a respectable Copa America, had a great start to the qualifier against Venezuela, 3-0, drawing Peru in a dramatic Falcao goal to make it 2-2 against Rueda himself. Which, by the way, Rueda now has the very ignominious distinction of having coached two teams in the same qualifiers that didn't make it to a World Cup. So throw that in the pile. Yeah, great start for Colombia, and then it all went to hell. That infamous November of 2020 would have been double FIFA date. The losses to Uruguay, the loss to Ecuador, the catastrophe that was, the embarrassment that it was. And yeah, it just makes you think, okay, where did it all go so wrong? Was it then? Was that the breaking point? Was that the beginning of the end? Because of course Queiroz was fired after the embarrassment in Quito. Then Rueda comes in from Chile, who had been struggling even then. He comes in. Colombia played brilliantly in Peru, 3-0. The team that Colombia couldn't surpass in the standings to go to the playoff. Colombia beat Peru handily, 3-0 in Lima in Rueda's debut. Then again, another dramatic draw at home against Argentina. And then from Copa America on, man, it's been a complete and utter torture. The only brilliant sliver of moment was the first half against Chile at home, that 3-1, which was maybe I would even say just peak, Colombia in this infamous Rueda era, the second time. So where to go all wrong? I feel like it's just a series of things. I know that everybody's going to be very quick to pull the trigger, to point the finger, and we all, as a society in Colombia, we tend to want to throw blame at somebody, at one person or one factor, and that is part of the reason why we don't progress, as a soccer culture in Colombia, because it's always it's the coach, only the federation, only a certain player or all the players, when in reality it's everything. And if we're going to do a deep evaluation, which is what we all hope it's coming now, that disaster hit, that we look up and down. Unfortunately, the federation. The federation. I'm trying not to curse right now. I'm trying really hard not to curse right now. The federation dumbos. Let's put it that way. They can't fire themselves. And Ramon Yesurún, who's the president, he just reelected him, had himself reelected before this game. So sadly, he's not going anywhere. None of the top directive, the board members, a lot of them who are directly responsible for a lot of the ruin in Colombian soccer, not just on the men's senior team, the treatment of the women's team, top to bottom, the issues with all categories of the youth levels, amateur soccer, beach soccer, everything. They're not gonna go away. It's a mafia. They keep each other very warm and cozy, leeching off of each of our passions, as fans and ardent supporters of Colombian soccer as a whole. I know that for a lot of us, especially who live here in the U.S., the first thing that comes to mind is what happened to the U.S. national team 5 years ago, technically 2017 in Trinidad, when they had their own debacle happening, in Cuba, and they failed to make a World Cup that they had in hand, basically collapsed in the end, and it forced a whole slew of changes. But the key change here is that the president was democratic. Well, the president quit. Sunil Gulati quit. the president of the U.S. Soccer Federation, as a result of this happening. Yesurun is not going to quit. Again, they're not going to fire themselves. And you would think that, we would have a democratic system in which board members, a council like U.S. Soccer has, could maybe vote Jesurun out. But that's not the case. Again, it's a small mafia, uh, it's a small oligarchy that they vote for each other and to take care of each other. So again, unfortunately, that's the other sad part about this, is that for as much as this, we are sulking in the sadness of the moment and the recent past of this horrible collapse and this horrible failure. The future is not looking better, because the people, again, responsible at the very top for all of this, they're going to remain, and they're going to make the calls that are going to be key now in the process that begins now on the road to the 2026 World Cup in Mexico, the US, and Canada. A World Cup, mind you, that is going to have, of course, 48 teams. That means that up to 7 teams from South America are going to make it to the next World Cup, which is ridiculous in itself. And I'll get to that in a second, because that's another thing I want to kind of mention here, is what the future holds as far as the entire World Cup format. But again, I for as much as I hate feeling like this, and it's gonna pain me and pain all of us to watch now the playoffs to the World Cup come the end of November, to watch a World Cup without Colombia. It hurts even more to think and to know that there's little hope for the future, because I don't trust the federation as is constituted today to make the right call. Don't forget that this is the same federation that wasted half a year after ousting Peckerman, pretty much back in 2018, wasted half a year, about 6-7 months, with Arturo Reyes as interim coach, losing valuable time that Carlos Queiroz, who was eventually hired, could have had to actually get some work done and bring forth, this wave of players on the road to Qatar. Then Queiroz gets fired, and again, the circumstances behind that, we've talked about that plenty. And then Rueda comes in, after they swore up and down that they would never poach a manager from another federation in South America. Well, they went and did exactly that. They ended up even paying a release fee, if you will, for Rueda to come in, to coach, to manage. And I get it. Again, you're halfway through qualifiers. Who are you going to bring, really? There weren't many coaches available, and time was ticking, because, of course, then, what was supposed to be the March match days last year that ended up being postponed because of COVID, they were coming soon. So Colombia had to hire someone. They went with the easier hand, which was Reinaldo Rueda, a coach who I will admit, because I'm not going to hide from it, I'm not going to hide from what I said at the time, I approved of the hire. Of course, I am also going to come here and say that I was absolutely flat out wrong about it. As a guy who had known Rueda from his days coaching the Colombia youth teams, coaching Ecuador to a World Cup, Honduras to a World Cup, Atlético Nacional to a Copa Libertadores, and then to a Copa Sudamericana final, I said, it's good. And a guy who, again, at the time, was known for being a good locker room presence, if you will, a guy who can create a good locker room vibe, who earns the respect and the love of his players. And a time when Colombia was in shambles because of what happened in Ecuador, again, I said that I approved of it. Of course, yeah, hindsight being 2020, it's horrible, to say the least. And it's a shame because Rueda, again, before this, Rueda was a respectable guy. What does he do now? I mean, the first thing, of course, he has to do is quit. Of course, I mean that goes without saying. He has to quit tonight. If he hasn't quit already, I don't know if if he already spoke. He's probably going to be speaking in in a few minutes. Um, I would quit if I were him because this is embarrassing. And if not, then the federation, of course, has to have at least a sliver of good sense to fire him and to start the search now for a new coach. Um, and a coach again who has the enough of a portfolio, of a resume, experience, presence, leadership worthy of coaching Colombia. So I hope the search. I just hope the search is as thorough as possible, and I hope we can just get someone in um, at the best possible time soon. And again, I know it's going to be hard now because club season still happening. Prior until May, you know, we might have a better idea. I know that there's a name on everyone's mind, and mine especially. And he's available right now. A guy that a lot of us want, a guy that I mentioned on this show that I would love to see on the Colombian national team. A guy that Colombia could have had a few years ago, but just didn't have again enough sense, enough brains, amazingly enough, and had too much of an ego to hire him, which is Marcelo Bielsa. He's gonna have a huge market, of course. Bielsa, everyone's gonna want him. Bolivia's gonna want him. Chile might want him back. We'll see. I mean, that ended in bad terms too. I think every South American team would want him. That is not going to go into the World Cup. Basically, Paraguay maybe if they fire Guillermo Barros Esqueloto. Venezuela already set with Peckerman, so they're going to do that. Bolivia they're already trying to court him. So yeah, I mean, Colombia's going to have competition. I think of all of the ones that I mentioned, I think the Colombia job would be the most attractive. But we'll see. I would love to have Bielsa again. He's available right now, and it's great because we can start turning the page and working towards 2026 right now. Would the federation learn from the mistake they made? How long ago was it? About 10, 11 years ago when they could have hired him. And you know how Bielsa is. Bielsa has a project, is very strong in his convictions. And if you don't let him, run things as he sees, he's not going to sign. It's as simple as that, which is what happened when Colombia first courted him, which ended up with Peckerman being hired. So again, it's not like, it hurt too much. But now this is a chance to hire someone like him. If it's not Bielsa, someone like him. And coaches are going to come out, of course, and be available within the next few weeks, the next maybe months. But again, I just hope that this goes quickly because Colombia are going to start preparing soon. Um, Again, going back to blaming, everyone's going to be quick to blame either the players, the federation, or the coach. Again, I think it's the responsibility of everybody. I think, of course, number one is the federation because this is all their decision. Number two is Rueda. And if you ask me, I blame Rueda more than the players because at the end of the day, Rueda never figure out his players and how to make the best of them. Even again with a Copa America in which he had every chance to solidify a squad, and I said it here too. I'm like, let's give him Copa America to figure it out. He never figured it out. Not in Copa America and not in all of the qualifier games after that until now. If you look at this, I mean, I don't think Rueda, maybe once, but I don't think Rueda ever sent out the same starting 11. So what does that say? He never figured it out. He never really took accountability for his own mistakes and shortcomings. He was all stubborn every step of the way, from his call ups to his tactics to his reactions as far as second half adjustments and things like that. He never took responsibility. He stuck to his guns to the point of disaster. He stuck to his guns. He ended up, instead of living by his sword, he died, and he brought everybody down with him. And yes, I alluded to earlier, one of the photos you're gonna see on social media, you already see on social media now, is all the screenshots, the still shots of all the goals that Colombia could have scored and should have scored, from point blank range, to the game against Peru, to the game against Uruguay, the one Zapata missed, even the game against Argentina in January, Ecuador. And it's just, again, it's just, I feel like I keep remembering them. It's just another stab in the wound. Yes, and again, the players also bear responsibility because they didn't really step up in the most dire moments. Up until just last Thursday against Bolivia, they didn't step up. Um, they should have scored. Duan Zapata should have scored uh, multiple goals. Muriel should have scored goals. Luis Diaz should have scored more goals, and Luis Diaz is and is the MVP. Um, so it is what it is, and that's unfortunate. But yeah, of course, any of those goals goes in, and Colombia are going to the playoffs. It was really numerically the difference between Colombia missing the World Cup and at least salvaging a playoff. But again, it didn't have to come down to those goals. Colombia was a lot better than simply missing those those tap-ins. It didn't have to come down to this, and that's where I think I blame Rueda most of anything, because he didn't have to be like this. Colombia could have avoided all of this had they, played better, had they created even more chances, and they created plenty of chances. But it is what it is. Let's take a quick break. I'll be right back. All right. Yeah. So I just think you don't have to come down to this. I think Colombia is above all those misses, and we didn't have the coach to do it. We didn't have a coach to have a viable plan B when things were dire in the games, multiple games. All pretty much every game. Except for that, the Peru victory and the Chile victory, Colombia came down to the wire and never ever really had a plan B, and it devolved into Rueda, making actually good substitutions and players not executing, to Rueda sabotaging his own team and just delivering these inexplicable substitutions and changes to the team. So yes, again, if you ask me, besides the federation, to me it's on Rueda, and he should be gone tonight. Tonight. Now, what does the future hold? We got 4 years to prepare now for the redemption. What should be the redemption? And yes, the format is gonna be way too easy. I mean, if these standings, prevail next World Cup campaign, then Colombia are gonna make it automatically, sixth place. So again, it's just gonna be too easy. And I want to give a second, and this was what I was alluding to. I want to give a quick second to to mourn the death of World Cup qualifying as we know it, because today was also the death of the drama, of the suffering every single match day, feeling like you live and die for every single of the 18 games in South American qualifier. It's pretty much gone because, again, 6 teams make it to the World Cup come 4 years from now. And the seventh place team is going to go to the playoff. So, I mean, if you don't make it, it's because you really suck. Let's be honest here. So, I would expect Colombia to make it. I said the same thing about this team, and here we are. So it's not really about qualifying. Really, it's about, okay, let's prepare for not just to come back to a World Cup in 2026, but to do actually a respectable job in 2026 with a new generation of players. Yes, it's going to be a lot of the players we've seen in this campaign, a lot of them who are getting pointed at right now. But no, this is the players we're going to have for the future. As far as who's going to stay and who's going to go of the players, I find it hard pressed that James Rodriguez is going to be sticking around for long. And again, it's all going to be on the next manager. We'll see who it is, but I find it hard pressed for James to stick around. I find it hard pressed for Cuadrado to stick around. I think Cuadrado's done. I think Juan Guillermo Cuadrado will have played his final Colombia national team game last Thursday against Bolivia. That's it for him. Not just, again, this isn't about age necessarily. It's about quality. It's about what can you bring to the table between now and 2026, including Copa America 2024. Cuadrado brings nothing valuable. Again, experience and everything, but to me, it's not enough. When on the field, you're a detraction. You are an obstacle on the field for Colombia. So Cuadrado, thank you for everything. It's been a heck of a career on the national team. Cuadrado will come down as one of the all-time greats in Colombia national team history. Absolutely. And I take my hat off, if I had one, to Juan Guillermo Cuadrado for everything that he did, from coming, out of almost obscurity in Venezuela, ironically enough, which was his debut in a friendly back in 2009, I believe it was, to now. Two World Cups. I want to say, how many Copas Americas? I think it would have been, just see, 2011, 15, 16, 2020, 2020. No, 2016, 2019, 20. Five Copas Americas, including, two third place finishes. So, yes, Cuadrado, again, chapeau. It's been nice, but it's over. James, I think as well. I think James is done, and James Rodriguez has been selfishly my favorite player at one point. We all know, again, it's been talked about, and it will continue to be debated about probably forever. But James at his best is again one of the all-time bests. And yes, the only man who can say in Colombian soccer history that he was a Golden Boot winner in a World Cup. A guy who rescued Colombia many times in 2014 on the road, also on the road to Russia many times. And even in this, in these qualifiers, he had his moments. But I think it's done. I think it's over for James as well. And again, congratulations to me, James, a guy who's going to come down in my history as an all-time great. Despite what happened in the last few years with injuries and everything else, yes, James, absolutely. It is the end of Falcao, the all-time leading scorer for Colombia. There's nothing more I can say about Falcao, because everything we can say nice about Falcao, he deserves it on and off the field. Falcao is an example of a player and a person, a fighter, a incredibly hard worker. Falcao left his mark. He's the best scorer in Colombia history ever. And that record is probably going to be uh, up there for a while for Falcao. And I smile and I want to smile, yeah, because yes, today sucks. Right now sucks, but I do want to kind of give a little bit of a shout to a generation that brought us a lot of joy. Falcao being one of them. One of the main reasons why Colombia brought us so much joy in the last 8 years, 10 years. So I want to give them a shout. And I want to give Falcao a shout. Again, an example of a person, of a player, a guy who I would want my eventual kids to look up to. And all the kids in Colombia, who have seen him in the last few years, he's an example of a great human being, a great professional, and an all-time great for Colombia as well. So three of the pillars, I think it's time for them: Cuadrado, James, and Falcao. David Ospina, I think he's got rope. I mean, Ospina's got plenty of rope. I think he proved it tonight that as much as he's 33 years old, I honestly think that at 37, come the next World Cup, he can still play if he wants to. Absolutely. You know, will he be overtaken by a younger goalkeeper as far as being the starter? Maybe. But today I still think he's got years still for Colombia. Maybe this will be his last World Cup cycle. Um, but I think Ospina for sure. He's our captain. Our captain, a veteran voice in the locker room. Ospina should stick around. As far as other names go, um, I mean, those are the most veteran. If you think about it, and I say this, with it, James is not like super old. Like James is what 30 years old. So technically, he should still have more years. Again, I just think that it's time for something new with James. Um, Guys like, for example, like Oscar Murillo. This is probably this might be it for Oscar Murillo, who again on and off the team. Um, who else? And that's the thing. Like there aren't that many veteran names for Colombia. Maybe like guys like Jimmy Chara, something like that. I mean, but the core of Colombia going forward is still here. Barrios, um, Mateo Uribe, the angular rock, the base in which everything should be surrounded is Luis Diaz. And I've said it plenty of times. At 25 years old, he is Colombia's cornerstone going forward. But I think of a guy like Juanfer Quintero at 29. I think he's got plenty of soccer so long as his body can hold up. Juanfer Quintero, he should be, our compass, our creative force going forward. The number 10, jersey and all, number 10. And with him, bring young guys like Jorge Carrascal. It's time for Carrascal now. Guys like Yacer Asprilla, who flirted with, first team Colombia soccer duty, never got a chance to actually show it in qualifying. But Yacer, yes, start time to bring him along. I think of guys like Daniel Ruiz, the kid from Millonarios. Also, he'll probably make a move to either Brazil or Argentina, maybe a European team, maybe we'll see. But definitely, I mean, when it comes to the future, Daniel Ruiz is a guy who's very skilled. If you haven't seen him at Millonarios, I recommend it because he's got the goods. Definitely, he's got the goods. He's one of the guys who's been, the highlights of the current Colombia season, despite all the big names that are playing, in the Colombia League. Definitely, I think he's one for the future. Absolutely. Luis Sinisterra, despite not having the best performance today, yes, 22 years old, plenty of future. Luis Suarez, And I'm talking about the guys who are, again, in the current sphere, the current pool. Carlos Cuesta is our future center back. With him, Jason Lukumi, it's time for Lukumi as well. No more shunning Lukumi. We gotta give him a chance. Absolutely, give him a chance. Um, who else from the squad that are that is young? Victor Cantillo, uh, definitely. Cuellar can still hang around, but again, my preference is with Cantillo. Jairo Moreno, 26. Jairo Moreno should be a key part as well of the future of Colombia. Another guy, by the way, who I don't know what his future is going to hold, and I think that it might be also time to make a change, is Frank Fabra. Fabra at 31. Again, I don't know how much soccer is going to have left between now and 2026. So between him and Mojica, who's 29, Mojica, it might be his place now. Him and Jairo Moreno, and the kid Alvaro Angulo from Atlético Nacional, who's also shown really, really good. Excuse me, a really, really good future. A lot of potential, Angulo. Maybe also a time for a guy like Gabriel Fuentes, who's been groomed on the youth system, the youth teams. Could a guy like Gerson Mosquera, center back, 20 years old, who again has been dealing with a bad knee injury, eventually will he break into the squad between now and 2026? I would expect so. Um, Guys at center back, I think also what's going to be the future of Jeremina. I think right now there's no place for Jeremina. I think with Cuesta, with Lukumi, with Gerson Mosquera, I think we got players. Will Tecillo stick around? William Tecillo, who's also in his early 30s. Will he stick around at 32 years old? We got Munoz to 25. Right back is going to be a challenge, though. I'll tell you that right now. Medina, 29 years old. Of course, he can still get it done. And I hope that the next manager will value his quality for what it really is. So again, we got plenty of players. Borré is still young. Borja still got years left, of course. Cucho Hernandez. Someone please give Cucho Hernandez a chance. Oh my God. How I still can't believe that I had to sit through Harold Preciado entering the game today and Cucho Hernandez is sitting back home in England. Unreal. Unreal. It's time for Cucho Hernandez as well. Do we see a return for a guy like Steven Alzate at 22 years old um, to feature? Of course. I really hope so. Again, I really hope so. And a guy also like Eduard Atuesta at Palmeiras in the midfield. Alfredo Morelos is 25. I'm going through some names right now. Johan Carbonero playing for Gimnasia. Diego Baloyes, who we've seen, on and off as well. We have Duan Vergara playing for Monterrey. Jorman Campuzano at 25 at Boca Juniors. So we got players. Goalkeeper, of course, we have, Camilo Vargas is still quality, 32. Ivan Arboleda, who's been kind of the chosen one, I guess, for the future at 25. He has to get more looks now. And hopefully he'll step up because it's not like at the club level. He's been kind of on and off as well. Kevin Agudelo, the kid from Spezia. So there's plenty of names. Give them a chance. Give them a chance. The next coach is time for this change. See and really start building for the future to give these young kids who were shunned or didn't really have much of a shot with Rueda to get a shot. So this is what we have to look forward to. Out of the ashes of what is an embarrassment, that was the road to Qatar 2022. I want to try to see if Rueda has spoken in press conference as of yet. I'm trying to see. Give me 1 second. Again, I'm just trying to see if he's quit. Basically. Let me check really quick. Now that I mentioned him, it's I feel like all the sadness is coming back. Oh my god. He is speaking right now. And no, he didn't quit. So there you go. There you go. Well, hopefully he'll get fired between now and tomorrow, and we can move forward again. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I want to hear from you again. What do you think? What do you make of this fracaso? What do you make of this disaster, this embarrassment? I can't believe that we're gonna be without this. Um, yeah, yeah. Let's end this for the mercy of everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate those of us who joined because I know it's not easy. But again, I wanted to give you a chance to say your piece and vent, and just kind of bury this once and forever. Um, and be together, for this painful moment. So, thank you for joining us. We will be back next Tuesday with our regular episodes of the show. Going back again to club level. I don't know how much Selección Colombia we're going to be talking about, because I think it's going to be really painful to do, obviously. So again, if any relevant news come about, we'll talk about them on Tuesday. Otherwise, back to Liga B play, to league action, back to Copa Libertadores, which is not a happier place either. Copa Sudamericana, back to our Colombians abroad, following those players that again are going to make the core of this new Selección Colombia for 2026. So join me in that. We'll be back on Tuesday right here on Facebook. So make sure to subscribe on Facebook, like our page, so you can get notifications when the shows are scheduled, so you can schedule yourself, and when the shows go live. And every show, by the way, if you miss it, will be in our Facebook page. You can go back and always watch them on our Facebook page. So like our page, subscribe on YouTube. They're gonna be there as well for your review afterwards. Um, Also follow us on social media: Twitter at Conco Soccer Pod, Instagram Colombia Soccer Pod. You can also email us colombianocolombia@gmail.com. I want to hear from you via email as well. You can follow me at Pimiento Football on Twitter as well. And yeah, on that note, we'll be back again on Tuesday, next Tuesday, the 5th, for your next edition of the Colombia Soccer Pod. Let's start again, moving on, start looking ahead to 2026. And we'll be here with you. I'll be here with you to go along that process. And oh, by the way, if you want something to really look forward to, we are 100 days away from Copa America Femenina. So I give you that to look forward to, and we will be here to follow that process as our latest team faces their own World Cup qualification in Copa America at home. A team that so far looks like they're going to be the ones stepping up and saving face for Colombian soccer, as our women in general tend to do. Thank you again so much for joining us. Have a great rest of your day and your night, whatever night it is for you.